Well, hello there. So I have spent the last few days recovering from a neck strain. I still haven't completely gotten there. Ow. Still a little stiff up here. I don't know. I slept on it wrong. I don't know. But I am off painkillers now, which means I can start drinking again, which means I can do a review of this. In this glass, I know it says Knockando, ignore that. In this glass is the new Hampton Great House, 2024 edition. I'm going to review it for you. So I should say, the folks who kindly sent me this sample requested that I not disclose who they are or show the bottle it came in, because they're worried about certain legal issues with sending samples out, and I'm going to respect that. I will say they did also include some stickers here. So I got a Hampden sticker. I got a pure single rum sticker. I got a tropically aged sticker. I got an LVMH sticker. How about that? Oh, and this is the one, they know their audience. A rotten banana sticker. Very nice indeed. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take I'm going to say this bottle is not Knockando. No, it is not. It is a bottle of Hampden. So I'm going to try to put the Hampden sticker on here if this thing will cooperate. Come on. Come on, work with me. There we go. And it's a Hampden. Okay, you notice I'm doing this sort of Ralphie cap on the glass thing. I've had this resting for a few minutes now. So yeah, Great House. It's the yearly blend the Hampden folks, the distillery workers do kind of for themselves with a blend of different marks, that's to say recipes that they make over there. And I am super excited to try this, but it needs a sparring partner. And I've done great houses versus other Hampdens. I've done great houses versus other great houses. I've done other rums, other Jamaican rums. What else is there to do? Well, in the my personal pantheon of great distilleries, Hampden is pretty far up there. They're the one larger distillery that kind of gets into the stratosphere for me. But they don't have the highest score in rotation yet. That honor goes to Zind Humbrecht. Zind Humbrecht in Alsace, which is a tiny, tiny distillery. Not the winery. The winery is actually very, very large. But their distilling operation is quite small indeed. You're only getting maybe a couple of barrels of stuff. I don't even think they use like oak barrels anymore. Anyways, this is a fun, I should say, d'Alsace, made by them, bottled by Amateur Spirit, which is basically this nerdy Europe-based bottler that gets together juries of enthusiasts and they vote on what they want to bottle. And in this case, they went for a Zind Humbrecht Fon. What is a Fon? Fon is the French term for a brandy made from grape must, so grape juice. With the qualifier, it has to be distilled on lees. You cannot filter out the lees in most Fons that I'm aware of. Now, this one has a special story. So it's entirely Pinot Noir. And I don't know if you can see that in the notes. And it's all from the Heimbourg vineyard. And there's... So anytime you get a bottle of Fon, particularly from a wine-producing region like Alsace, can you grow wine and cognac and Armagnac? Yes, but it's never going to be that good. Alsace is a different story. The wines are good. So anytime you see a bottle like this, you have to start asking the question, why does this exist? Why was this never, just made into a wine where they could charge lots more money, get more money out of it? If you start looking into the story of this plot of Pinot Noir, it starts to make sense. So I should say, back up. I'm not conveying information in the proper order. So This is a blend of different vintages, which I guess all went in the same barrel. 1998, 2002, and 2003. If you go back and look up Zind Humbrecht's plantings of this vineyard, they only planted this plot of Pinot Noir. It's tiny. It's like a third of a hectare or something. They only planted this stuff in 1996. So you're talking about really, really young vines. I know this is nerdy. I know like most of you clicked on the button in order to get to the Hampden review. Give me a chance to nerd out about this stuff, okay? So it's young Pinot Noir, young vines. Young vines are always a little bit trickier because they haven't had the time to establish roots. So they're going to have more trouble pulling up nutrients, pulling up water, pulling up heat from the soil. And all that's going to affect, complexity and affect ripening. And Pinot Noir in particular has trouble with it's a very, very finicky grape. So you run into all the problems you could possibly conceive of when trying to make wine with Pinot Noir. It's early budding, so if there's spring frosts, whammo, all your buds are gone. You get nothing. You get no brandy, you get no wine, you get nothing. Good day, sir. But even assuming that doesn't happen, so Pinot Noir tends to ripen. It needs exactly the right temperature range, exactly the right amount of sunlight. Otherwise, it will ripen not enough or way too quickly. And I can guarantee you, the 2003 vintage, which was a heat wave vintage throughout France, was a too quickly kind of situation. What happens when your Pinot Noir ripens just way too quickly? It gets too boozy, it gets jammy, it gets gross, it doesn't taste like Pinot Noir anymore. You can also harvest early, but then you get a wine that just isn't very complex because it hasn't had enough hang time. It's the kind of stuff you'd want to distill because the wine's just not going to be quite up to snuff. The other side of that is under-ripening, which I would imagine is what happened in 2002, maybe 98 too. I don't know much about the 98 vintage. But, if you live in a cold area, and Alsace is cold, the home of Pinot Noir is Burgundy to the south, kind of smack dab in eastern France. It's cold there, but it's still warmer than Alsace is, and they still get more sunshine. Alsace, less sunshine, less warmth, harder to ripen stuff. The growing season is actually longer, but it's still tougher. So at the end, you might end up with grapes which are just thin acid, and that's it. That's not great for winemaking. No, what is great for? Brandy making. Now, this is apparently their last vintage of this, and I'm guessing that's just because the Pinot Noir that they planted has now established its roots well enough that they're consistently able to make some decent wine from it. So yeah, if you were interested in this house style, based on what I'm saying right now and other reviews I've done from this house, look this up. Amateur Spirits only did pre-order bottles of this, but I'm guessing they didn't totally drain the cask. So even beyond seeing bottles of this out there that you might want to try, look out for future bottlings, maybe from the same cask. I'm just saying. Okay, let's try the Zind Humbrecht first. It's got an age advantage. Hampton's got its crazy estery thing on its side, so it might win. This, however, has an age advantage. They're both bottled at the same proof, actually, 57%. This was much higher in barrel. Apparently, they proofed it down. I don't know. I don't know what wins this. I just thought it would be a fun comparison between two of my absolute favorite distilleries ever. So let's go. Zind Humbrecht first. 100% Pinot Noir. So for a second there, I was questioning myself as to whether I picked up the right glass, because there is a little bit of Jamaica in this, as crazy as that sounds. Yeah, it's very, very floral. There's an aggressive, like perfumey, but nice kind of character to this. But it's also very minerally. Just wet rocks, wet stones, with a halo of potpourri around them. But then, like, there's some blueberries, Smarties candy, a lot of notes that put me in mind of high ester pot still Jamaican rum. But the nature of the flowers here isn't Jamaican. It's very much more reminiscent of like Borderies cognac or something. You know what this smells like? This smells like what would happen if you locked together like a Jamaican pot still fan in a room with like a Borderies cognac fan, and in the room are like millions of casks, and you're not going to let them out until they agree on a cask which they both like. What they would come up with is something like this. That's what this smells like. It's herbaceous. There's a little bit of oregano, like a little bit of dill coming through. More fruit. Touches of fig. Apricot, like peach, unripe peach. Certain grapiness to this, almost like a like aged. What is it called? Like Australian Moscato, Rutherglen Muscat, like the really funky, intensely aged, oxidative dessert wine muscat. Oh, that's exactly what this smells like, actually. Yeah. But then it's got that like big old halo of flowers around it that puts me more in mind of, cognac, particularly Borderies. And the Smarties are in there, the sweet tarts are in there, all the weird kind of sour Halloween candies. It's a really, really fun nose. I mean, yes, it would be fun to blind people on this, but it's also just like if you're a fan of Hampden, or high ester Jamaican rums in general, or a fan of cognac, for that matter, this is absolutely worth a pour. It's really interesting. And we're just on the palate so far. There's some pineapple now. This is just giving me a few more notes every time I come back to it. Touches of tobacco, like nice cigarette tobacco. The pineapple's going crazy. There's some nectarine now. Orange peel. All right, I'm going to take a sip. Oh. Red House is going to have a hard time beating this. This is really good. Flavors mostly kind of follow on the nose. It's some kind of funny fusion of Jamaican pot still rum on the high ester side with Borderies cognac. That's how it presents. Oh, that's outrageously good. So, field flowers, potpourri, wet stones, pineapple, orange, tangerine, peach, lots of stone fruit, apricot, touches of fig, dried fruit, oak cask. Dried apple cheese, absolutely. that tobacco-y thing is more present. It's actually kind of, the tobacco is really taken over the herbaceous kind of note. Like lots of fresh Virginias, a little bit of burley in there too, some nutty burley flavors. Ow, it's kind of hurting to tilt my head up. Black pepper. What's really impressive about this is the development and the mouth presence. Like it's... Let me get some water. Arrives up front like a lot like a Grand Champagne cognac. Lots of intense fruity characters, stewed peach, that kind of thing. Even a little bit of raisin. And then on the mid palate, it just kind of explodes into flowers and rocks and, you know, your Smarties, candies, all that stuff. Some gummy worms. Then all that kind of travels to the back of your mouth and it just hangs there. This really, really holds on for a long time. The finish is not as outrageous and silly as the 1976 Mar that I reviewed twice, but this is a great finish. You better bring it, Hampden. You better bring it. All right, let's give this some water. 2, 3, 4. Let's do 5. These are smaller squirts today. Some strawberry, like unripe strawberry coming out now. I'm gonna give it like a little bit more, like one more drop. No, I'll keep the Ralphie cap off. All right, on to the main event though. This is the big name, right? Hampden. Oh, I should tell you something about this before I start nosing it. So this particular blend, Great House 2024, was bottled at 57% ABV. And there, so far as I know, there isn't an official statement of what's going into this, but there is an unofficial, like what I would call an official list of what's in this. So it is 70% LFCH, which is the slightly more estery, one of the newer marks where they're not using dunder and all the other tricks. 70% of that, and 50% of it is from 2021, and 20% of it is a year older from 2020. The other 30% are split between 15% HGML 2018 and 50% DOK DOC 2021. So you're basically looking at 70% lower ester pot still Hampden versus 30% higher ester pot still Hampden. Very classic kind of blend. This is not going to suck on the nose. And yeah, it just smells like Hampden. I mean, I feel like I'm home. I'll give you some more than that. So let's start with cherry cola, which has had a whole bunch of Smarties and sweet tarts in there. Like I said, it's funny, but these two things have some notes in common. Cherry cola, but there's also like a what fruit is that? It's not pineapple. Oh, it's like lime candy. That's what that is. Lime candy. Intense lime candy on this. With some kiwi as well. Black pepper. Rocks and flowers. Rocks turning into flowers and back. I use that note too often. Different kinds of sodas creeping in. There's like a ginger ale note. Cream soda. Cinnamon. Banana peel. Orange peel. There's some... I'm using this note up too often too, but like there's some like southern dessert kinds of things going on, particularly pineapple upside down cake, but also like what is the the banana thing? Why is this slipping my mind? I'm a child of the South. I should remember this. Banana. You know what I'm talking about. The banana with the toasted bananas. Whatever. Banana dessert. Surprisingly, this is a little bit louder on the nose than the Zind Humbrecht. It's kind of hopping out of the glass for me a little bit more, but I think the Zind Humbrecht has more complexity on the nose. Some sweet tea happening. Different kinds of fruits creeping in. Hard to nail down. Like almost like a cider apple kind of element. Interesting. Don't think I've gotten that on Hampden before. Okay, I mean, what's coming to me immediately is the higher ester components of this are not really coming to the fore in the way that they were on, like, let's say the 2021 or 2022 Hampden's Great Houses. This is much more subdued than that. Okay, on the palate. I will say, there was a moment in my mind while I was nosing this, and it wasn't really coming together for me on the nose, when I thought, oh, maybe this one won't be that good. Maybe it won't be that great. No, this one is that good. It's they just don't miss. They don't miss over there at Hampden. Let me try this one more time. Also a beautiful development. It's really creamy. Certainly has, at least at this point, a little bit more of a deliciousness factor edge over the Zind Humbrecht. This one forces you to think. The Hampden, I could see, if you're used to the Hampden style, I could see people just like pouring it and enjoying it. It's really, I don't want to say hedonistic, because that's it's just nice. It's very pleasant. What am I getting? A lot of the same notes. Ginger ale, cherry cola, cream soda, lots of like soda notes, actually. Some lemon lime, some like 7-Up maybe. I mean, you can tell, if you're paying attention, you can tell that some of the high ester notes are in there. The rocks and flowers, the baskets of blueberries and raspberries and stuff like that. Those are in there, but they're kind of in the background. They're kind of just providing a little bit of color to the main event, which is really the sodas, some desserty stuff. pineapple upside down cake again. Whatever the heck that banana thing is. What is it? Little espresso happening. Oop. Well, it's a mess, but I managed to save at least what's in the glass. Oh well. I mean, without a towel. Definitely like an espresso kind of snapped that a little bit of European espresso. Nothing like new school American stuff that's all like Kenya grapefruit. No, this is like you walk into an Italian cafe and it tastes like, delicious nutty bitterness. Sweet tea, but also some Darjeeling tea in here. Tobacco, maybe a little bit. The development and the mouth presence are really good. Again, this is creamy. It's just like, it feels like it's slithering happily all over my palate with delicious oaky high ester goodness. And it just hangs there. Very pretty up front, and you get that kind of halo of more aromatic stuff in the middle. And most of that hangs on. I mean, the way these behave in the mouth are actually very similar. But I have to say, at this point, I don't know if the Hampden is winning this. Let's give it some water. We'll come back to it. 2, 3, 4, 5. It is a fabulous bottle of rum, though. Yeah, okay. So I spilled a little bit of the Zind Humbrecht over here, but there's still a fair bit left. Let's try this again. So I was saying, to my current regret, that the Hampden was more willing to kind of leap out of the glass at you, and this was maybe had a little bit more complexity, but you had to kind of hunt for it. Now it is leaping out of the glass at me. It's just beautiful. It smells like pineapple chunks that have been rolled in the best tobacco in the world. Oh. But then there's that quasi high ester, like floral thing, the berries. Yeah, this is one, if you have a bottle of this is one to throw at your Jamaican rum friends. I think they would really enjoy this. On the palate. Ooh. Oh. This is tricky, a little bit. Initially, I was going to say that the mouth presence falls off a little bit when you add water to it, but it's not exactly true. It changes a little bit. So what is happening now is on the first sip, it felt like it fell off a little bit, but then the second sip, it felt like everything was just like reinforcing itself. So now my mouth is just like even more full of this huge collection of flavors than it was like even when this thing was at full proof. There's some appley elements creeping in now. Even a little bit of pear, some like lemon peel. And the finish just goes on and on and on and on. It does not let go. Which I think is like a hallmark of the Zind Humbrecht distillery. Like, I remember, I think everything I've had from them has just had this really extended finish that I could be tasting the stuff like tomorrow morning sometime. I didn't bring my Sharpie. Anyways, this is fantastic. This is... Oh, where do I want to go with this? Can I get higher than 92? You know what? I'm going to call this a 92 plus because it does improve with water. It does improve with water. Yeah, wow. I mean, it's... Yeah, this is... Here's the thing. I'm a wine nerd as much as I am a spirits nerd. And I don't know if Olivier Humbrecht is watching or anything, but I'm going to be honest with you, man. I like your spirits more than I like your wines. And I think your wines are great. But I like this stuff more. I'm not saying shut down the wine business. I'm just saying, like, you got customers here on the other side of things. 92 plus, an absolutely killer score. Let's see if the Hampden can beat that. Development? I mean, it hasn't really... Maybe the ginger ale thing has kind of kicked up a little bit. Otherwise, it's mostly the same. It smelled wonderful before. It smelled like a classic kind of Hampden before. And it still mostly smells like that now, so I'm not going to complain. On the palate. Had a good finish before, and good mouth presence in general before. But with water, like, it really brings it up a step. This is more than a plus. That's like an extra point at least. Now the high rester stuff is coming in, but also the wood at the same time. There's a lot of like aggressive, like overstewed, awesome tea elements coming out now, but at the same time, like, I am being, bum rushed by rocks and flowers and baskets of berries. And I'm really digging it. I mean, so for me, like, last year's Great House was a little hair bit of a step down in quality from the previous ones. Just a little bit. I think this one is back up with the previous ones. I think this is a 91 point Great House. Let me write that down because I didn't bring my marker. Sorry. 91 points. I mean, here's the problem, though. This is phenomenal. This is an amazing bottle of rum. But is it, gun to my head, children's lives at stake, that kind of thing. Is this better than the HLCF Classic that you can buy for less money? No, I don't think it is. It's a fun variation if you were a total Hampden nerd and you're going to buy this. But I don't think it's better than their basic current overproof bottling. I just don't. Still, I love this. 91 points. it just can't quite, like, something about the time in cask on this, I think is taking it over the edge. Like I guarantee you some of the pineapple notes, some of the really weird fruity stuff that was happening was not happening when this first went into the cask. That is the result of long development in a cellar. 20 odd years will do that. So yeah, there you have it. 92 plus for the Zind Humbrecht. Tiny distillery, but I've been amazed by everything I've had from them. And 91 plus for the Hampden, which, is a lower score? Yes. Can you buy this in many more stores than the Zind Humbrecht? Yeah. And I guess that's the video. Thanks for watching. This was really fun. It's really fun to have two of my favorite distilleries head to head against each other. And cheers.